Welcome to tutorial 19, and in this tutorial we're going to be going over switches and what a switch is in C++. So basically what a switch is instead of using if statements, like a bunch of if statements to test conditions, what we can do is use a switch. And the switch tests one condition, and it has multiple cases in it. So you could have, well, we'll go ahead and start it. So let's create a variable, and let's just give it a global scope. We're just going to create an integer x and set it equal to 5. So, in this switch statement, we're going to write switch. And then after that, we're going to write parameters and then a body. Now, inside the switch statement, what we have is parameters, of course. And that parameter is going to be tested. So, sort of like an if statement, if you had a bunch of them, you would have, they test different conditions or the same condition for a bunch of different results. So if this happens, then this, and if this happens, then this. Basically what a switch does is it takes this condition, x, we could say, and we give cases. So switch x means that basically we're testing a condition of x, and inside here we're going to have cases. So case, and then we're going to say case of 1, which basically means if x is equal to 1, then output some bit of code. So, I could write a function in here, anything. And then after that bit of code, you want to write break, and then with a semicolon. And what that shows is that after this case, so if x was equal to 1, after case 1, and we get this output, it's going to break. And then we can add another case, so in case of 2. So in case integer x is equal to 2. So in this case, we'll have x equal to nothing, and then we'll just say something like enter a number and then store it into the x variable. So it says enter a number, and then we just want to give the user somewhere to input that number to, and that's going to be x. So the user is going to enter a number, it's going to be stored in x, and the switch condition or the switch statement is just going to test x for these cases. So in case of 1, cout, you are number 1. And then we could, just end that. We don't really need to end the line. And then in case of 2, we can just say you are number 2. And then don't forget to add a break. And we'll do one more. So case of 3, cout, you are number 3. Then we're going to add this last break. And after all of this, what we're going to want to do is add a default. So in case the user doesn't enter 1, 2, or 3, we have to have a default statement that prints out in case they enter, again, something that is not in one of these cases. And again, you could use a string for this, but we're just using integers. So cout default, we're just going to say you picked an invalid number. And then again, for default, you do not break actually. Yeah, I was thinking of JavaScript. In JavaScript, you use breaks, but in this, you don't. In C++, you don't. So basically, this is our switch statement. We have switch. It's just inside int main, and it basically just tests the number that the user inputs. And if the user inputs 1, 2, or 3, it outputs some text on the screen for, whatever number they enter. And if they don't enter 1, 2, or 3, it's going to say you said, or you picked an invalid number. So we'll go ahead and run this. And it says enter a number. I'm enter 1. It should say you are number 1. Okay. Got that. Then run it again. Number 2. You are number 2. And last 3. You are number 3. And then again, if you enter a number that's not 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, or 3, say I entered 4 or 5, let's just say 4, then you picked an invalid number. And if I wanted, you know, send that line to make it look a little cleaner when we run the program, you get this press any key to continue on a separate line, so it's just a little clearer to see. So I picked 4 and I picked an invalid number because it was not in the case in here. So if I go before default and say, okay, in case of 4, see out, you picked 4, or well, let's just say you are number 4, just like the rest of them. You are number 4, then when I go to run this again, if I enter 4 this time, I'll get you are number 4 because it was written in one of these cases. And that's basically how you use a switch statement. All of switch statements, again, one last thing I want to mention is that you can only use switch statements if the cases are integers. So if it isn't an integer, then you cannot use it as a, in terms of numbers, you cannot use it in a switch statement. Like I couldn't have in case of 0.5 just because that's not how a switch statement works. We have other things for that, just like the if statement, the else if statement, and other things to test conditions. Um, that's why we don't use doubles or floats inside of our switch parameter. So when you do make your parameter, make sure it's an integer, make sure your cases are all set to integer values, and that's basically it. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video, which I believe is tutorial 20, and that is on the size of command, and we'll learn all about that in the next video. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.